many crewmates were there on the Apollo 11? If you know, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand if you can tell me the names of all the crewmates. Yeah. Most of you would probably have been able to tell me something about Neil Armstrong or Buzz. Sorry, not this Buzz right here, Buzz Aldrin. But very few would have been able to tell me something about Michael Collins, the third person on the Apollo 11. But before I'll talk about Michael Collins, I'm going to give you a brief sneak peek. Later, I'll talk about Alicia Grey, about John Alcock, about Arthur Brown, and about John Mullins. But I don't judge you for not knowing these. I didn't either until short ago. But now I'll get right into Michael Collins' tale. Michael Collins was an Italian boy born on the 31st of October of 1930, who dreamed about going to space. He was inspired to go to space by John Glenn, an American politician and the first American ever to orbit the Earth. After joining NASA at age 33, he was part of the Gemini 10 mission before being assigned as an astronaut to the Apollo 11 project at age 39. The Apollo 11 mission, which wasn't even completely sure to come back to Earth, was the mission with the objective of being the first to fly astronauts to the moon. After reaching the orbit of the moon, Michael Collins was the only one left behind inside of the Columbia module, the main part of the spaceship, while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. He stayed inside of the module alone, orbiting the moon for 27 hours and 51 minutes. All three of them made it back to Earth, where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin got much recognition for actually landing on the moon, but Michael Collins just got a little bit of momentary attention for not actually landing on the moon. Now, obviously you've noticed this new face behind me. This is Alicia Grey, who, unlike Michael Collins, wasn't forgotten. He was never even known, even though he was the inventor of the modern music synthesizer and of over 70 other devices to which he held patents. This man, who was born in the year of 1835 and died in the year of 1901, was an electrical engineer, and even though he invented the modern music synthesizer, that's not what he should have been famous for. One of his biggest developments was the prototype to a telephone, to which he lost rights when Graham Bell handed in a patent request upon his design almost 2 years after he had initially designed it. Therefore, if Alicia Grey had handed in a patent request upon his design just a little bit earlier, we could now be using the grayish communication box to talk to people all over the world. We might not even have cell phones. The next two people I'm going to talk about are like Alicia Grey. They didn't receive much credit for an enormous achievement. The achievement by these two British gentlemen, John Alcock and Arthur Brown, wasn't the creation of something that changed society forever. Their achievement was rather symbolic. Both of them were born at the end of the 19th century and came in contact with aviation before the First World War. John Alcock was a competitor in flying contests, and Arthur Brown found his interest in aviation after getting a degree in engineering. They joined forces to compete in the grand 1918 Daily Mail Prize for Aviation, in which it was the objective to achieve a non-stop flight across the Atlantic Ocean in under 72 hours. They won the prize in 1919 when they flew from Newfoundland to Ireland in a modified World War I Vickers Vimy 4 bomber. For achieving this goal and carrying a few postcards over the Atlantic Ocean, they were awarded the Daily Mail Prize of Aviation, along with the prize of £10,000, which, adjusted to 2019, would be worth about $570,000 US. They also got awarded the honor of Knight Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire by King George V. A few years after being awarded this title and these prizes, they were almost completely unknown again. They lost their fame partly because of Charles Lindbergh, who in 1927 won the Orteig Prize. This prize was very similar to the one won by John Alcock and Arthur Brown. It was awarded to the first Allied aviator or aviators that would achieve a non-stop flight from New York to Paris. When Charles Lindbergh landed on the 21st of May of 1927 in Paris, after a flight of 33.5 hours, he was awarded the prize of $10,000, which also adjusted to 2019 would be worth about $360,000. But this achievement was the first ever solo transatlantic flight, which therefore took him to outshine Alcock and Brown. The achievement by Alcock and Brown, which was the first ever transatlantic flight, could be compared to the first time you rode a bike. You probably didn't ride it alone instantly, or you fell from the bike, or you had someone pushing you, or you had little training wheels on your bike. But this first time you rode a bike is an achievement smaller than actually riding the bike alone, but it is an achievement I at least would consider to be important anyways. That's a close-up of John Alcock. That's one of Arthur Brown. And that's Charles Lindbergh. That's who I'm going to talk about again. A similar thing about of getting your credit stolen happened during the creation of the periodic table. The periodic table is arranged by the atomic weight of the atoms, which are then grouped together, taking into consideration the characteristics of those elements. This grouping method is called the law of the octaves. It was suggested by this man right here, which is called John Mullins. He suggested this in 1865. The law of the octaves stated that if you organized the elements taking into consideration their atomic weight, they would have similar characteristics with an interval of 8, which would mean that the first element would have similar characteristics to the 9th, the second one would have similar characteristics to the 10th, and so on. This grouping method was implemented into the periodic table published by Dmitri Mendeleev. There's he. And he, Dmitri Mendeleev, earned much more recognition for this law than did Mullins. Mendeleev used it to predict the existence of the elements gallium and germanium, which weren't known at the time, along with their characteristics. The existence of the element germanium had already been predicted by Mullins using his law before, but Mullins wasn't able to state any characteristics of the then theoretic element, which therefore didn't earn him any credit. After all these examples, it might have become clear that this isn't your regular TED Talk convincing you of a great thing for a great cause, such as have done other speeches today. But all these examples I gave you were from people that were crucial to something that changed your life, but didn't actually earn any credit for it. And therefore, as I'm sure you right there, and with that I mean all of you in the public, will accomplish something great in life, being this creating a cure to a severe disease, or building a rocket ship to fly to another planet, or simply putting a smile on people's faces every day. I would like to ask you all to always do your best to change people's lives to better and to be someone that people would like to remember. Having that in mind, I would like to ask you all to always remember. In my view, all you have to do to be successful in life while having fun is to be creative, to be innovative, and to be kind to people. And mainly to chase your dreams, your ideas, and your objectives. Because if you give up on those, then you won't be able to accomplish anything in life. Thank you.